All this week, iHeartCast game reviewer Tinypenguininja has been in Los Angeles covering the E3 Expo. And now that that's over, it's a good time to talk about IHC's first official trip to E3. This is a pretty quick and dirty podcast, but hopefully in the future we'll actually start doing real podcasts again. But for now, this is what you get. So I thought it'd be a good time to talk to Tinypenguininja and his impressions as a first-timer to E3. I've never been to E3. I've never even been to Los Angeles, yeah. So you're in Los Angeles right now, right?
Yes, I am. Staying with my aunt and uncle.
Is this your first time in LA?
No, when I was younger, I lived in Vegas for a couple years, so we were out here a lot.
But this is your first time at E3, right?
Yes.
So what do you think of the whole thing in general?
It's a lot more, there's a lot more going on than I thought. Like, it's surprisingly unorganized. Things like the EA booth had, like, lines and stuff, but, like, a lot of the things, it just seemed like they threw it together, and I don't know. I was kind of surprised at just how disorganized it was. You'd think this is, like, the big event you'd prepare for.
Well, I guess there's a lot of I don't know how many exhibitors there are there, but I would guess probably in the thousands from like big ones like Nintendo and Microsoft to tiny little crappy ones. So E3 ran from the 7th until the 9th, which was today.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your favorite thing that you saw there?
I've got to say that my favorite thing that I played overall was Battlefield 3, which is a surprise because I've never really played a Battlefield game before, and IHC people demanded that I played Battlefield, so the second day that I was there, I got there early, and I waited in front of the line, and I ran straight to the Battlefield line, and even though I made a beeline for it, I still had to wait like an hour for the 15-minute trial, and I actually really, really enjoyed it. So that and Deus Ex was probably my favorite thing to play, because I kept going back to their booth over and over again.
One thing I was surprised about, something you think mentioned on Twitter, were the number of places that were invite only. I've been to a couple, large conferences similar to this before, and generally, everyone, even if it's gigantic, everyone's got their booth, and you can walk up to it and try out whatever it is that they're selling. But you said this wasn't the case at E3?
Most of them are, but things like the Wii U, where like they had a room with it set up and it said VIP only, and like the Bethesda one with Skyrim and Rage, and for whatever reason, Prey 2 was VIP only. I never even saw the inside of it. And like the people who are VIPs got really special treatment. Like when I was waiting in line for Battlefield, I was 5 people from being let in, and a bit like the VIP line was empty, and then all of a sudden like 10 VIPs show up, and they just take them all inside, and took like 2 people from the non-VIP line. And so like if you have these connections and stuff, it's probably like a whole completely different experience.
So how the hell do you get to be a VIP? You had a press pass. Wasn't that enough?
That's what I thought. I actually because there was the press pass, which is what I had, and then there's the exhibits only pass, which is the one you have to pay for.
Yeah.
And I never really noticed any difference. Like the only thing I could do that people with a floor pass couldn't was go into the media lounge, which was a bunch of chairs and some coffee, so it wasn't all that great. Granted, I did get in for free, but I didn't feel like there was anything all that special that came with the press pass other than the option to make meetings with people.
And free coffee.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks. I'll have to figure out how to see if at all possible, maybe next year or something, to I have no idea how to do that, but maybe make better business cards or something. I don't know. but hopefully next year. I certainly appreciate the work you've done, because this is the first year that that IRKS has been to E3 in an official capacity, and the first time you've been there, and it was just you there trying to coordinate, interviews and everything else. So I salute you in your Herculean efforts.
Yeah, it hasn't been easy. I mean, it was fun, don't get me wrong, but I haven't gotten more than, I think, 3 or 4 hours of sleep since the first day of E3.
So what time? How much longer are you staying in LA?
I fly out back to Pittsburgh tomorrow at about noon.
Are you looking forward to that?
Not looking forward to going back to Pittsburgh because I really don't like Pittsburgh, but it'll definitely be nice to be home again and brag to all my Xbox Live friends that I just got back from E3.
So what? I noticed you put a picture of the Battlefield 3 dog tag. Was there any other really good swag that you picked up there?
Um, there was nothing all that exceptional. Like, all the really cool stuff required you to wait in line for like 3 or 4 hours. And well, unless you got to the line first, but I got a couple random things. I got like an oven mitt for cooking mama, and I got a little stuffed alpaca for playing some fishing game on the 3DS, and the OnLive console, if you really can call it a console, had free mints that were like orange Tic Tacs, so I took home a small stash of those. Not that those are cool, but they're delicious. So,
So Lou, I'm just looking at your Twitter, trying to look at some of the games that you got a chance to try out. You said, did you actually get to try Dead Island?
yes, I did. I was actually pleasantly surprised. Like, I didn't really know what to expect from it. I hadn't looked into it a lot. I didn't know if it was a first-person shooter or like a survival horror, but it's a first-person shooter, and it's set on an island. It's pretty straightforward, but it's set up like, from what I gathered, people will give you quests, and like they hand you a piece of paper with the details on it, and you choose to accept it or not. And you actually level up as you go through, unlike most first-person shooters. And as you level up, you can make it so you're better with like knives or blunt weapons, or you can get extra skills. Ooh, excuse me. And some weapons require you to be certain levels. Like even in the demo, I found like a scuba diving knife you had to be level 2 to use.
Right.
And it was surprisingly in depth. It looked really nice, and I actually think that if they do it right, this could be a Left 4 Dead killer, which to me would be a good thing because I'm not a huge fan of the Left 4 Dead series.
Now I know, like in some of or not some, all of the trailers, they are all about how this is sort of a new zombie game, because they're focusing more on story and this survivors and things like that. I mean, did you get that impression from the demo?
Well, the demo starts off like this dude saves you. He pulls you into like from the zombies, pulls you into like a little shack, and then when they pull you in, they shut the doors and he's trapped outside. And they're like, you gotta save him. And like, there's people in the little shack like freaking out, and so it definitely seems to have more of an emphasis on, just even from what I saw in the demo, like character development and the people and how they're affected by it. But I didn't really get a huge sense of the overall story from the demo because it was pretty short. It was only 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. What about did you get to play any of Arkham City?
No, I didn't. That was one of the ones where you kind of had to get there first, or you'd spend a whole day waiting. I saw some people playing it, like most of those ones where they had a big line, you couldn't actually see the screens, but I saw some people playing it. It looks, pretty much the same. Looks, yeah. I mean, I'm not expecting any giant revelations or anything, although I believe I saw someone playing as Catwoman, which was kind of interesting to see. I don't know what they're going to do with that as far as new mechanics and whatnot.
My impression my impression is that it's of course is bigger than Arkham Asylum,
Mm-hmm.
with more enemies and things, and probably a bit more of a detailed storyline. Because I guess I mean, Arkham Asylum was just you're just sort of chasing the Joker as he,
Yeah.
you know, through the asylum, and he stops every now and again, throws a balls at you. Whereas I think Arkham City, focuses a lot on a bunch of different villains and a larger storyline, and then of course the whole Catwoman thing. So
I read somewhere, I forget the exact number, but they actually said how much bigger Arkham City was. And they said that one of the things they wanted to do was have it so that, in Arkham Asylum, you started off, you could go to certain areas, and you slowly unlock different areas. They said with Arkham City, right off the bat, you can go anywhere. So it gives you that sense of freedom to do what you want, where you want, when you want. And so that's definitely something I'm looking forward to, the more open-endedness, where I can just feel free to just do anything.
yeah, I mean, imagine, of course, you have to, sort of go in somewhat of an order to, unlock the story and clues like that. But I don't think I'd heard about it being, where you can just jump right in and figure out where you have to go and go anywhere. That's pretty cool. What what was your so I know that you said you didn't get a chance to play the Wii U, but what's your general impression of it?
I don't know. I think it looks like it has the potential to be something really cool, but as with every neat Nintendo innovation, I have lots of fears of gimmicks because, like, when the DS started off and when the Wii started off, the games were good and fun, and like, they used the touch screen, but they used it in a way that it felt natural, and then it got to
Right.
the point where it just became all gimmicky, and like people would just throw the touch screen in for the sake of putting the touch screen in the game, and I don't know. I kind of that's kind of the thing I don't like about motion controls and controllerless play and stuff is it takes away from the simple sit down controller in your hand and just play.
Yeah, I mean there are some really good games for the DS that um, really use the stylus to for some good effect and use the dual screens for some good effect. I think I don't own a Wii, but from the times that I've played a Wii, I've gotten the impression that that's much gimmickier, much more gimmicky.
Yeah.
Because at least with the DS, there's like the Professor Layton games, you draw certain things or drag pieces here and there, and with the Wii, it was just like, oh look, it's a you know uh, it's a Zelda game, except now you're swinging the Wiimote around and shit like that. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I think that the Wii U looks like it has a lot more potential. I'm also
Oh
really
yeah.
excited that 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 I read somewhere that they are going to probably be moving away from the whole kid game thing that they've had for the last few consoles,
Oh, that's good.
and
Yeah,
and putting out a little more more mature titles.
the display unit they had set up like that, a little fake living room in the middle of the Nintendo booth, even though it was like half the floor. Um, they had like it set up and it looked, I believe it's full high definition. I'm not 100% sure. Like I haven't been able to look at most of the press conferences because my internet is, uh, crappy at best right now.
Right.
But like like they had, I believe it was the Alien first Predator game or the Alien game coming out, and just the seeing it, it looks so much better than the Wii. Anything on the Wii, like it actually looks really really good. If you had shown me that screenshot, I wouldn't have guessed it was a Nintendo console.
Yeah, I mean well, not only is the Wii sort of gimmicky, but yeah, I mean you're right. Like the Wii, I mean it's only barely a step above the GameCube
Hmm.
in terms of graphics. So you go like, oh, let's play Wii bowling, with graphics that are shittier than the DS, or better on par with the DS. So, though actually, speaking of Nintendo, I got the system update to the 3DS the other day, and which finally comes with a web browser and the eShop, and it came with a free version of Excite Bike, which I was sort of excited about.
Hmm.
but then it's one of those Nintendo games that you were sort of excited about and you liked when you were a kid,
Yeah.
and then you play it again, you're like, yeah, that,
Well, this is Excite Bike.
yeah, ooh, it's Excite Bike. I don't know how that. I guess there wasn't much else to do back in those days. But then I also got a game for the Game Boy Color that I'd never played, with Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening.
Oh, I love that game.
I'd never played that. I played a bunch of Zelda games, but I never had a Game Boy Color until much much later. So
Yeah.
it,
Speaking
it
of,
also reminded me. Oh, real quick, sorry. It also reminded me
oh, sorry.
how much of a pain in the ass Zelda games can be sometimes. Because I had been playing through Dragon Quest IX,
Mm-hmm.
and Dragon Quest, there isn't really any challenge. You just sort of, normal RPG stuff. The bosses aren't hard, And then
Yeah.
I start playing like this old school Zelda game, and I'm just like, like every 15 minutes, I'm like, son of a bitch, fucking fuck. So I'm sorry, you were saying?
One thing they had there, and it was like tucked away hidden. They had a black curtain around it, so you wouldn't see it unless you happened to approach it from the one side. But they had a video games museum there, and it was one of my favorite booths because they had a whole bunch of cabinets. They had Centipede, Asteroids, all the way up to like more recent arcade games like House of the Dead and stuff like that. And they
Yeah.
had they had this really cool setup. They had an old couch with an old TV and an Atari hooked up to it and a bunch of cartridges you could play, and they had all these old consoles from very first all the way up to PS1 hooked up with games you could play on them and stuff. And I don't know, it wasn't really new or current, but it was just really well put together, and it was one of my favorite exhibits there because just like walking through, I could see portions of my childhood, and I could remember things I was doing looking at some of these consoles. It was really awesome.
Yeah, you also weren't even born when the 2600 was out, were you?
No.
Well, actually, what was the first console that you had?
The first console I ever had was a Super Nintendo. My aunt worked in a movie store and got me hooked on Donkey Kong Country, and but I always forget what year the NES came out, but I believe it was out when I was born.
That's not too bad. I start feeling really old when fucks on IHC are like, yeah, the first console I ever had was the PS1. That was so old school.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck me, the PS1 came out when I was in high school, and that was like the hottest shit I'd ever seen.
Yeah, no, I remember like when the N64 came out, I had an allowance and everything by that time, and I actually had to save up for it myself. I wasn't like a little kid then, but I still wasn't very old when I finally got mine. I think I was like 9,
Yeah. So
maybe 8.
one thing actually, I didn't really see in any of the pictures that you took, and I haven't really seen a whole lot anywhere else. Were there a whole lot of people in cosplay there? Because I haven't seen a single photo. Normally for stuff like this, like, I mean, I know it's not like Comic Con or something like that, but normally,
Well, I actually thought about that. I mean, there were like the stormtroopers and stuff there, but I think they were there for EA's Star Wars thing.
oh yeah,
Um, it was funny because I saw the whole time I was there, I saw like 2 people that weren't with a booth that were in cosplay, and they would like walk up to the front door and look around all confused because nobody else was, and then they'd leave. And I never saw them like actually inside any of the halls. I think it was, I think they're expecting something like PAX or something like that, I guess, where you do dress up, and I guess that's just not what E3 really is.
go back to your anime conference.
Yeah.
Well, I guess E3 really is more of an industry conference more than anything.
Yeah.
Even though there's like a zillion people there, it's really more of an industry conference than a fan thing.
Yeah.
So, any other fun E3 stories?
The second day I was there, I got it said on the website they opened at 9. So I got there at about 8:45, and we got in line by the doors, and 9 o'clock came around, and the guy said, no, you can't go in, we're going to open at 10. And they never told us why, but I'm sitting there talking to some people from other websites and stuff, and like it's about 9:50, And this lady comes and just, like, stands right in front of us, and one of the security guards comes and says, all right, you need to go to the back of the line. And she's like, why? And he's like, well, because there's a line, you need to go to the back. And he says, I have been standing here for like 5 minutes. And the one guy says, well, we've been standing here for over an hour, so, I think we have priority. And she's like, I'm not moving. You're not going to make me move because I've been standing here. And the guard says, you need to move or you need to leave. She's like, you're going to have to physically escort me if you want me to move from the spot. He said, ma'am, I will. And she stuffed her pass in her purse and, like, bustled out all angrily and, like, left. I guess she left.
I was sort of hoping there would be a tasering at the end of that story.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's like, I've been here for 5 minutes. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that 5 minutes really mattered.
and then I would have been disappointed if there had been a tasering and you didn't get a video of it.
Yeah.
That would have been gold.
The tasering at E3.
Oh, Jesus. So,
as for other interesting stories, there wasn't. Yeah.
So, what about these interviews? You did, like, some interviews, but I haven't heard anything about that.
Most of the things I had weren't so much interviews as I had an appointment, and I'd have a, like, guided tour around the booth, like the Indiecade one, which was one of the only ones where they actually even, like, did anything special. I showed up and, like, I had a guy literally follow me around the whole time, and after every game he was standing right behind me, ready to ask what I thought and ready to move me on to the next thing and explain it. And that was probably one of my favorite booths because while it wasn't, like, big-name games, I got to meet the people who make them and not just the PR guys. I got to meet the guys who had put their time and effort and money into making their games, and it was definitely really cool, and the games were fun. So, but like I went to the. I'm sorry, what?
Huh?
Okay, I went to the one thing that had a peripheral called the 360 Avenger, and it's a little clip-on thing you put around your Xbox, and it's cool because it's got little levers and like straps and stuff, and what it lets you do is it lets you hit any of the buttons simultaneously. So like you can be moving the right stick but still hit the B button. And I had an appointment with them, and when I showed up, I was like, all right, yeah, I have an appointment for whatever time. He says, oh, okay, here you go, and like hands me one and then walks away.
So
and
was it like one that you could, was it
yours
to own?
I could have just walked up and done that anyway, so I didn't see the point of making an appointment. The guy didn't like tell me anything special about it or anything like that. He just like, here you go.
So what did you think of the Avenger? I mean, it looks sort of weird and complicated, but
I didn't like master it in the little bit that I did use it, but I actually did get used to it pretty quickly, and it's neat because all the little rods and stuff can be adjusted so to fit your hand and stuff like that. And so by the time I had tweaked it so it fit me right, they had like Call of Duty 2 set up. I was able to use it pretty well. Like I could tell like after using it for like a day, it would feel just as natural as using a controller normally. But like my other appointments, I didn't end up going to a couple of them, like the All Points Bulletin one, because I was thinking about it. I didn't know where I knew All Points Bulletin from, where it was from, but like when I looked into it, it was an MMO that like just failed miserably. They even shut down the servers, and like I talked to a couple people that went, and they said it wasn't really anything all that special. So I told them I wouldn't be able to make it because like I don't know, I was having trouble getting into that hallway anyways, and yeah, so I didn't make it to that one. But none of my meetings got me anything like exclusive, so yeah.
That's sort of disappointing.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's the VIP stuff.
What you met with people Indiecade though. They're working on right now like a web-based MMO. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly.
I believe they had it there, but I didn't end up trying that. I played the one game Deep Sea, which I described in my post was the one with the like gas mask.
Yeah.
I played one called Desktop Dungeons, which was really, really fun. I might actually end up going out and buying that, and I'm going to recommend that you look that up because it was a blast.
What was the name of that again?
Desktop Dungeons. I believe the website's desktopdungeons.net. I tried. I can't remember the name of the one, but it was a 360 game, and I didn't really understand what I was doing. The developer wasn't there at the time, and the guy who was giving me the tour hadn't played it yet.
Yeah.
But you were kind of flying around the level, and you had to pick up little animals and lead them to a ship at the top, like a flying boat. And I think it was more of an artistic thing than anything. Like you'd fly up, and the birds would fly away, but they looked like umbrellas. Like I don't know. It was just kind of a trippy little thing. It wasn't anything all that spectacular.
I was confused. I was thinking that IndieCade was a developer, but it was a showcase of indie games.
Yeah.
Okay. I got that wrong. So what else? Anything else exciting going on?
I got to try the Xperia Play, which I didn't like very much. I found the thumbsticks were awkward to use, and a lot of games, like, you could tell because games would super compensate for them. Like, I was playing a first-person shooter on it, and the game was practically aiming for me because I couldn't get it to work right. I tried, what was it? Sonic Generations today, and it was good. The guy told me the story was Sonic. They don't know who the villain is in this one, and like there's all these time rifts, and Sonic goes back and meets himself from 1991. And the way they have it set up is you play like old style games, or it's side scrolling classic Sonic.
Yeah.
And then they have the new ones where it's like 3D Sonic, but they based it off of the Sonic Adventure games, which were like the last of the only good 3D Sonic games.
Yeah.
And so they made it like the Sonic Adventure games, and so it's a really great combination of the two. And I played it in 3D, and I had a little bit of a hard time playing it in 3D because there's so much going on. But it was actually really fun, and I think it might finally breathe a little bit of life back into the Sonic franchise. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Sonic's been. I mean, of course, the originals for the Genesis were awesome, but there's been a lot of crap that's come out.
Some more. I tried the new Resident Evil, the Operation Raccoon City, which I was really skeptical about because it completely abandons all the conventions of the Resident Evil franchise, and it's just like a fast-paced action third-person shooter. And I actually found it to be really fun. Like, I mean, I guess it's only technically a Resident Evil game if you're, big into survival horror and all that. It's not what you're going to be looking for, but it's definitely worth checking out. I might not buy it, but when it first comes out, but it's definitely something I'll purchase eventually.
So what's the format of it? What is it that doesn't really make it like other Resident Evil games?
It's just like, it's all like the zombies are fast. You can run and shoot. It's got the run and gun element. You have there's never really a shortage of ammo. I mean, one of the character's special abilities even makes it so that they never have to reload. So as long as you have ammo, you can just keep shooting. And it's more, you're more able to handle yourself. You're not like Claire or Jill, where you can fight a zombie, but you're not well equipped to handle like the BOWs and like the special zombies and stuff like that. Whereas in this, there's a part where they drop like 5 BOWs in, and they call it the BOW apocalypse, and you're getting attacked by all these massive T-virus monsters, and you could actually kill them all. Whereas in the originals, if that had happened, you would have been dead in an instant.
Yeah. I wasn't really that impressed with was it Resident Evil 5?
Yeah.
The one in Africa?
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the Resident Evil games, but I don't know. I know you're a big Resident Evil fan, but I thought 5 sucked balls.
Yeah, I mean, I played it. I played it a decent bit, but it definitely didn't even... Like, it tried to be 4, and it failed miserably.
No, I don't know.
My big thing this year, though, was Deus Ex. I've been a long time fan of the franchise, And so that was one of the first things I tried. And I've got to say, if you're a fan of the series, it's definitely something to check out. It's got all the typical, you're presented with like a building or something you have to get into, and you can walk right in the front door, guns blazing, killing the crap out of everything, or you can sneak in and take the guards out silently, or like I did in the demo, the first time I played, I went through the whole thing and I knocked the first guard out, but I didn't shoot any guards, I didn't interact with them in any way. And so, it's got that whole thing, and it's got a bit of a learning curve, and it was kind of funny because watching, I could tell who had played before and who hadn't.
Yeah.
Because, the people that hadn't were just kind of, they looked a little lost. So there's definitely a bit of a learning curve to it, but it's shaping up to be a really great game.
So what was your so what would you say the things that you're looking most forward to coming out?
Um, well, definitely Deus Ex, Battlefield 3. The new Silent Hill is looking like it might actually be more of a return to classic Silent Hill games. After I watched their Q&A, like they're getting back more into the mythology of the monsters, representing a person, not just oh we need to put nurses and Pyramid Head in it because everybody likes them. And they actually made fun of that in the Q&A because someone said, what is it that made Silent Hill 2 so great that everybody that no Silent Hill game has come close to it? And the guy says, oh, easy, 2 words, Pyramid Head. And everyone just kind of goes quiet. And he says, no, I'm just kidding. And he talked about the immersion and how you could walk around for half an hour just exploring the town and having nothing happen,
Right.
but not get bored. And they're going back to that, just the exploration and how you get so immersed into it that you don't realize, you haven't actually done all that much, but you're still having fun anyways. Um, so it's definitely looking like it could shape up to be a good game after a bunch of craptastic cookie cutter jump scare games. Um, let's see. Other than that, like the new Ghost Recon looks like it's going to be really good. New Assassin's Creed, of course, is going to be really good. Um, yeah, I mean, I didn't really see anything this year that looked bad. So yeah.
That's good. So I mean, nothing. What you went to the Ubisoft conference press
Yeah.
conference?
Yeah,
What was your impression of that?
that one kind of impressed me because, and I saw someone said this on IHC. They said they're surprised that Ubisoft is able to continue because they have just been releasing mediocre game after mediocre game. But their trailers and stuff that they showed, it's like they're really pulling out all the stops. And like the new Ghost Recon looks, like I said, it looks really good. Like they've revamped all the cover systems, all the squad based systems, and it looks really easy to use and really really fun. Even Rayman, which I used to like Rayman a long time ago, um, it looks like they're borrowing very heavily off of New Super Mario Brothers, but it looks fun, and if it works, I mean, it's not like every game is copying New Super Mario Brothers, so
Yeah.
you know, it's probably going to be worth checking out. Uh, Assassin's Creed looks like Assassin's Creed. I mean, it's nothing that's going to like redefine the genre, but it's probably still going to be worth checking out. Um, yeah, those were really the big three for me for Ubisoft. Oh, and Far Cry 3, but like technically it was a gameplay demo, but it really didn't have very much gameplay. But from what I saw, it definitely looks like it'll be, a good game. So yeah, they actually surprised me a lot.
Here's my from I mean I wasn't there, but I was doing a lot of the posting articles about what was going on there. Here's my quick little rundown list of the things I'm really I'm sort of waiting to see how they'll pan out. One of which is the Wii U. Do think that's going to be much cooler than the Wii. Um, Also, finally that Nintendo is also coming out with some decent games for the 3DS. Which, I mean, I bought the damn 3DS. got a fucking tattoo of the thing, and they have like nothing but like crappy games. But the Mario 3DS and Luigi's Mansion and Star Fox and all their shit looks really good. Especially the I think the Mario 3DS where they sort of borrowed heavily from Mario Galaxy.
Yeah.
Where that looks really good, and the Kid Icarus game.
On the subject of the 3DS, really quick, I mentioned it on Twitter, and it was in the Q&A video, but I'm assuming nobody watched that because it was an hour and a half long. When they were doing the Q&A for Metal Gear Solid, one thing they said that was interesting to me is they actually managed to talk Nintendo into making them, specifically for Metal Gear Solid, a 4 gigabyte cartridge, because otherwise it would have been a multiple cartridge game. And so that's kind of interesting to me. But what they're doing is, they said they liked the 3D elements so much with Metal Gear Solid because like it's stealth based and you need to be sneaky. And they said the depth really helps out a lot. And so they're remaking Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2 for the 3DS. And so those are going to be released. I thought that would be worth mentioning.
Yeah, my impression of the 3DS is that so far the games that that I've played that have been in 3D, they've actually had, sort of used it. It looks really good, and they really use it really well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just looking forward to the really good first party titles and some other stuff. Also, of course, Elder Scrolls 5, that looks just fucking incredible. I mean, I thought the Oblivion looked really, really good, but they just knocked that one out of the fucking park. What else? Did you actually get a chance to play play King Arthur 2? I know you sent me the press release for that.
No, I didn't. I didn't actually get to watch the trailer. I just figured that was something I should send you. Yeah. No, I didn't get to try it.
It looks interesting. I mean, I like RPGs and things like that, but I don't know. Maybe. What else? What else? Oh yeah, the Sony Vita should be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I wasn't really that much of a fan of the PSP, just because I don't know. It just felt like a lot of the games they had were, it's like I at the time I had a PS3 and a PSP, and I'm not 10. I don't have to like hide my bedroom to play video games.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there on the couch playing, playing something on the PSP. Like, why am I just not playing this on the PS3?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same game except smaller. It's the same experience. It's the same. The graphics aren't as good.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess with the Vita, they've got the touchscreen on the front and the back, and they're really hopefully going to be doing some cool stuff for that. So I'm pretty excited about that. Oh, and how exciting is it that you can now do a Bing search in your Xbox dashboard?
Really, I didn't get to watch the press conference because of my internet. I heard they were putting Bing on it. But yeah, I haven't gotten to watch any of that because literally, like, I'm tethering my internet from my phone's 3G, so anything video related is not easy going.
Yeah,
but
well,
yeah, that sounds
I don't know.
interesting.
Microsoft. I mean, they had Halo 4, but that seemed to be really about it this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, other than adding Bing and actually no, that's not true. The Connect marketplace type thing looks like it's pretty interesting, where people can take all their Connect hacks that they've been working on and upload them, or at least that's the person that I got as far as.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So like the indie games, but for Connect.
Right.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So, anything else? Any final parting words of wisdom or observations, or would you do it again?
Oh yeah. I know what to expect next year. I know that like I'm gonna apply for the media pass early, and I'm gonna, as soon as I get approved, I'm gonna start emailing people like EA and stuff and trying to get VIP or at least get meetings set up, because I didn't know how important that was. So when I started getting the emails from people, I was kind of overwhelmed dealing with that, and so I couldn't really go out of my way and email other people. So, um, I know things to do and not to do, and I know some stuff that I want to bring next year and leave behind, and so I think that next year, I think next year is going to be like 100 times better in overall terms of coverage.
And you know how how lame some of the appointments are.
Yeah,
When you
yeah.
just
If
show up
they're
and they're like, here you go.
Yeah, I think that the rule I learned was if they're emailing you and they really want to make an appointment, there's, probably
Yeah.
not all that worth checking out.
What were so was the I mean, I imagine they did have just like a giant convention hall area where there were just a shitload of tables and things for various developers and companies that were set up.
Yeah, well, the LA convention hall, like they had the South Hall, which was the main hall, and you go in and all that was just like it almost looked like a whole floor of EA because EA was right inside the door. Like I could tell that how much money EA put into E3 this year. Um, but like the main hall was where EA, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft had their setups. Um, and then in the other hall you had things like the Indiecade, you had just stuff like that, like the developer, like the big name developers, but not quite EA and Sony and stuff. And then in between you had the meeting halls, which weren't so much booths as just a room with like media information like
Yeah.
TVs and videos and trailers and flyers, and then you just sit down and talk to people. I can't believe I forgot this. I was on my way out today, and they
Uh-huh.
had a setup like hidden in the depths of the Microsoft booth with insanely twisted Shadow Planet.
Oh, okay.
And I remember you posting that about that game a long time ago, and I was really following it, and then they never posted anything new for the longest time.
Yeah.
And so I thought it had just gone into production hell and died. But apparently it's coming out really soon, and I tried it, and it is fantastic.
Oh, well, that's good.
It looks nice, it's fun, and it's not like in the trailer. It just makes it look like a fast-paced fly around and try to escape type, But it's kind of neat because you have different tools your spaceship can use, and you have like little puzzles along the way to solve. I mean, there's nothing too crazy in depth, but it's looking like it's going to be really, really, really good, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I just thought I can't believe I forgot that. It was one of my favorite things that I tried there, and it's only an arcade game.
So that's a Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah, it's going to be coming. It's part of Xbox Live's yearly Summer of Arcade, so it'll be out in the next couple months.
Okay. So, in short, you had a lot of fun. You would do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I don't know. I'd like to say that next year I'd like people to go, but I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah.
If not, maybe we can try to recruit some other people to go with you, so it's not quite as overwhelming. And by that time you'll be like the E3 Pro at that point.
Yeah.
So.
Hopefully.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, have fun for the rest of the time you're in LA. For the rest of the time that you're in LA. And yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess we will. Yeah, we'll try to. I'll try to start doing regular podcasts again. You know that we tried to do the thing with Nerd Bastards, and for some reason it just didn't. They were having technical problems, and that didn't work out. But at some point, I swear we'll start doing regular podcasts again, and we'll get you and Gloom Cookie and other people involved. So.
All right.
All right. So until then.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.